sea was drained and the rich diversity of life it sheltered was abruptly forced to seek alternatives. The Earth may seem a permanent place, but it is restless and responsive to the forces that surge beneath its surface. The formation of continents, seas, and mountain ranges take millions of years, but the power is awesome. Mountains were forced up for over 40 million years. Geologists believe that some of the peaks were almost as high as Mount Everest. But what is intriguing is that many fossils of those creatures which were our early ancestors are found where the foothills of the Caledonian Range once stood. The moisture-laden winds are halted by the peaks. They rise and cool, then rain falls in torrents. Parts of the sea were moved inland. They became rivers, and then where the country flattened, the water spread out to become freshwater lakes. New environments were created, new frontiers to challenge life. Some plant life had evolved, but its grip on the land was tenuous. Often the land was bone dry, and when it rained, the force of the rushing water would erode the soil, taking with it the mosses and ferns which struggled to grow. The lakes, when they were tranquil, must have been inviting environments, just out of reach. But life itself took a part in the opening up of these new freshwater habitats. The rock face alongside this river was once the edge of an ancient freshwater lake. 370 million years ago, this was at the foothills of the ancient Caledonian Range. Today, it's called Red Hill in the state of Pennsylvania. This was the site of one of the earliest known forests. These leaves are from the earliest known trees on the planet, which spread their branches and changed the world. Tree is called Archaeopteris. Scientists think that it was not unlike today's conifers, the pines and larches with thin needle-like leaves. They had roots which spread wide and deep and would help bind the soil when the floods came. Like today's trees, the trunk thickened with every year of growth, and scientists believe that it may have grown as tall as 20 meters, just over 60 feet. What it gave to life was shelter from the sun.
Yeah, there's one there. Okay. That one? Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Scheckler has studied the impact that Archaeopteris had, both upon the environment and the life that was in lakes and swamps.
Just get under that piece and use that as a lever to help. This is a good-sized Archaeopteris stump. It's the kind that's pretty typical for the trees of this time.
Yeah, that'd be 25 centimeters.
25 centimeters, okay. Yeah. So That's another big one. Then we got some small ones here. Exactly, yeah.
Should I slide back to here now?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
By marking the fossiled stumps, he and his students can then work out how dense this ancient forest may have been.
This young forest behind us, I think, is actually a very close analog to the appearance of what the first Archaeopteryx forest would have looked like. Trees with white bark that are bare now would have been about the size of the early Archaeopteryx. So the whole ecosystem was transformed by the introduction of Archaeopteryx. What previously had been an open environment with relatively low primary productivity became a closed canopy environment with much higher rate of productivity.
This was the first forest canopy to provide shade and shelter. These trees spread their pine-like needles and provided protection, helped the soil to retain moisture, which in turn would help other plant communities. They helped change the landscape. Their influence didn't stop on land. Archaeopteryx grew along the lake shores and helped change this environment too. Archaeopteryx shed their branches, which then fell into the water, would eventually become waterlogged and sink to the lake floor. They would decay, their nutrients would be leached out into the lake waters so that the trees provided both food and shelter for the fish. The fossil record shows that our distant ancestors moved into lake environments at around the same time as the predators. There were still challenges, but one of them would help life to make the next great step on the miracle planet. In the world today, mountains still play their part in shaping the land, as well as the life that lives on it. In South America, the Amazon rainforest needs the waters that run off the mountains after rain. The deluges of the wet season spread out through the rainforest, one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. When the forest is flooded, it provides nutrients and shelter for an amazing diversity of fish life. The armored pleco looks almost prehistoric, while the predatory arowana glides through the sunken forest. So frequent is the flooding that the trees have also adapted to spending much of their lives inundated. They provide both food and shelter to help sustain the rich variety of life. The muddy waters of the Amazon and other rainforest rivers perhaps can give us a glimpse of what life might have been like when it adapted to fresh water. The Amazon does not remain flooded all through the year. After the wet season, the sun begins to wield its power. By June, the waters dry up and can drop in some places by as much as 18 meters.